This girl is so cruel to herself, because wants revenge on her husband. She is not afraid to risk her life, fixing herself from top to bottom, wanting her voice to be better, and even telling the doctor to inject collagen into her vocal cords. After surgery, her appearance changed. Her body shape was also extremely wonderful, also had a face like an angel. The turnback rate on the street was 100%, but people don't know that this beautiful girl was originally just a fat girl, just considered a lovely person. Her name is Gomran. When she was buying fish, accidentally fell into the fish bowl, but no one around wanted to help her. She used all her strength to climb out of the pot. What was worrying was that all the fish in the pot were squeezed to death by her. Gomran packed her things and was about to go home. She stopped the bus right in the middle of the street. Gomran got on the bus and stood right in the aisle. The man sitting there was disgusted and turned away. Actually, she was sweating under her armpit and dirtying shirt. Quietly put hand down to hide embarrassment. At this moment, suddenly the driver braked suddenly. Gomran did not hold the handle and fell to the ground. All the vegetables and fruits in bag fell out. Gomran wanted to stand up, but due to the inertia of the bus, Gomran couldn't stand up yet and fell right on the steps at the bus door. Passengers on the bus looked at her with pity, but no one was willing to help her up. Towards this type of pity, Gomran felt even more sarcastic. Gomran dragged tired body home. Before she could stand firmly, her two sisters-in-law asked her to clean up their leftovers. At this time, her 80-year-old grandmother also came to say that she was hungry, wanted her to quickly go make dinner. Gomran had to endure these days of working as a buffalo and a horse for 7 years. The only thing that helped her endure was her husband is working in America. She hopes he can return soon. Every week, Gomran persistently wears beautiful dresses and records videos to send to her husband in America. But every time, two sisters-in-law laughed at her. They criticized her for being a country girl. What kind of era did she have to pin that flower on head? Also said that wearing like that would scare her husband into running away. That day, Gomran called her husband but learned from her husband's colleague that her husband had returned. She went to the hotel that the colleague, no one else in the room except for the cleaner. She was sad and didn't understand why her husband returned home without telling her. At this moment, the sound of a couple laughing and talking was heard from outside the door. Gomran immediately hid in the closet. The scene that followed stunned her. She never thought that the husband she loved so much would change his mind. The patience and grief of the past 7 years welled up. Tears could not help but fall. At that moment, she thought of a reckless idea. Gomran finds a woman who is in love with her husband. She hopes that the other person can leave him, but this woman says that even if she lets go, Gomran cannot hold on to her husband based on her current appearance. After 7 years abroad, he had a successful career. Gomran still did not give up. He was her first love, and also the last. She waited hard for 7 years. To be a buffalo and a horse for her husband's family, was waiting for the day her husband returned. Gomran mustered up the courage to pull Chaeyeon's hand as she was about to leave, hoping she could forgive her husband. Chaeyeon hated it and pushed Gomran's fat hand away. Gomran hurriedly stepped forward to stop, but this time, he was not careful and caused Chaeyeon to fall. After that, Chaeyeon was quickly taken to the hospital and pushed into the emergency room. Gomran was pulled back by Chaeyeon's manager. The manager said he had reported it to the police. Because Gomran had abused artist, the police officer took out the certificate. After speaking, invited Gomran to the police station. Gomran Poor was still trying to explain. At this moment, Gomran hid behind her husband. Hearing her husband using words to protect her, she was moved to tears. On benches in parks, Gomran held her husband's hand tightly. This is the man she hoped to return day and night. But right after that, he said he can only protect she until now. Our relationship as husband and wife has ended. And after saying that, he took off the ring and returned it to Gomran. Back home, Gomran asked her mother-in-law about her husband's situation. Her mother-in-law said that she had known about the decision her son had made for a long time, was afraid that Gomran would be sad, so she didn't tell her. Gomran was heartbroken and loudly asked why didn't tell her the truth, then treated her like an idiot. At this time, her two younger brothers-in-law came to add fuel to the fire. She said Chaeyeon was her high school friend, had known about this for a long time, just didn't know how to tell Gomran. Having such a rustic sister-in-law, they can also understand Kangjun's feelings. Gomran was in pain and despair at night alone in the car to leave that loveless house. Gomran was in pain, blinded, suddenly got into a car accident and crashed into the sea. Fortunately, Gomran's large figure did not sink into the sea. She relied on her strong will to climb up. Gomran went to a famous plastic surgeon on TV, hoping the doctor would help her become more beautiful. The doctor saw Gomran's appearance, immediately wanted to chase her away. How could the skinny doctor be able to deal with Gomran, who was over 100 kilograms? Gomran stubbornly wanted him to help her. She didn't want to die like that. She wanted revenge. Tae-hee couldn't bear it and was persuaded by her. Tae-hee prepared a plan for orthopedic surgery for Gomran. Looking at the fat ant in front of him, Tae-hee also fell into deep thought. Such a patient's surgery risk is extremely high. It is very possible lose life. But Gomran only wants revenge. She has long disregarded the matter of life and death. Tae-hee repaired Gomran's entire body to make the voice better. She even injected collagen into her vocal cords. In the end, the surgery was successful. Jomran can only use one word to describe it now, which is unbearably beautiful. Even butterflies landed on her palm, congratulating her on a new life. To thank her benefactor, Jomran wholeheartedly served Tae-hee, preparing a sumptuous dinner every day. But Tae-hee felt that was not enough. He threw Gomran a sail herself contract, said to sign this paper, and then have to listen to him in everything from now on. Facing the benefactor who helped her have a new life, Jomran said nothing, bit the tip of her finger and pressed her hand. After that, Tae-hee prepares to help her take revenge. Tae-hee helps Gomran analyze all aspects of her ex-husband, find points for revenge, and tells Jomran, although appearance has changed, must also change from the inside. She is no longer the fat aunt she used to be. Tae-hee named the girl with a new life Sarah, and made a plan to change for her, forcing Sarah to exercise every day, helping her have a more perfect figure, supervising Sarah to cram cultural knowledge, cheering her on. After many days of changes, Sarah was finally able to take revenge. She went to her ex-husband's door and stood watching from afar, thinking that not long after she left, her ex-husband had brought his lover home. Heartache and hatred welled up in heart. She vowed not to let Kang-jun and Chae-yeon get married. Sarah returns to Tae-hee's house alone, accidentally saw a photo on the table. The two people in the photo were Tae-hee and Chae-yeon. Tae-hee quickly snatched the photo and grumpily said that without his permission, she was not allowed to arbitrarily look at other people's things. Sarah kept asking. Tae-hee sighed and told everything clearly. In fact, he didn't an orthopedic surgeon, but he asked his younger brother to do it. Actually, Chae-yeon was his childhood sweetheart. Sarah immediately understood the cause of the incident. The two shared the same goal. Quickly became close friends. The plan officially began. At Kang-jun's charity party, Sarah appeared wearing a beautiful dress and immediately became the focus. Tae-hee pretended to be a waiter, observed behind and commanded Sarah. Very quickly, Sarah with her beautiful beauty attracted Kang-jun's eyes. Tae-hee saw that the fish had taken the bait and immediately commanded Sarah from afar. But in the end, Kang-jun turned around and didn't look at Sarah anymore. Walked straight away. The beginning of the plan failed. Tae-hee found Sarah and said that if spent 100,000, she would have a chance to meet Kang-jun personally, but found 100,000. 0 zeros in where, at this time T whispered in her ear a secret. Tae-hee mysteriously said that he was the young master of the largest financial group in the country. 100,000 was a small thing. After hearing Sarah smile brightly, she was very grateful that he had used everything to relieve her stress. The plan failed. Sarah returned home and began to doubt all her changes. Tae-hee comforted her not to give up. We have 3 treasures, the most beautiful face, the smartest mind, and 2 broken hearts. Then Sarah got excited and thought of another revenge plan. First have to apprehend the ex-mother-in-law. During the charity event of the ex-husband's parents, the musician suddenly fell ill, so Sarah took the opportunity to successfully relieved the 2 of them, making the 2 people have a good view of her. This side, Kang-jun couldn't concentrate on his work, because the sight of Sarah helping him find his bracelet the other day left a vibration deep in his heart. In the evening, Sarah stayed at the house next to her mother-in-law's house, giving a cake to her ex-husband's sister. She saw that new neighbor was extremely beautiful, and affection for her increased exponentially. Just then her father-in-law was coming home. He realized the girl had helped him out in the morning. Turn out she lived right next to his house. In the evening, Kang-jun's whole family sat together and praised Sarah. The younger sister kept praising Sarah's beautiful beauty and captivating figure. Kang-jun listened to his family's compliments for Sarah. The small fire in his heart was now constantly burning, and then Kang-jun can't wait any longer to call Sarah. He wants to ask Sarah to go out for a walk. Sarah and Tae-hee are looking at each other and smiling. The fish is already hooked. At this moment, Kang-jun was in an excited mood preparing to go meet Sarah. He saw his fiancée Chae-yeon's phone call. He chose to ignore it. Chae-yeon was driving and saw Kang-jun not picking up the phone, so she left a message. Kang-jun arrived at the meeting point downstairs. Sarah Beautiful was standing there waiting for him. The 2 smiled and looked at each other. Sarah greeted delegate Kang-jun outside her mouth, but in heart, she was frantically calling husband. Kang-jun couldn't hold back the excitement in heart, and frankly said that he really missed Sarah. While the 2 were still being sweet, Chae-yeon drove to Kang-jun's downstairs. From afar, she saw Kang-jun standing with a girl. Thinking carefully, it turned out that this woman was the lady Sarah had met at Kang-jun's charity party. Chae-yeon felt not okay. Looking at the 2 people, Tae-hee was hiding behind the bridge at this time, slipping head out. He looked at the couple Sarah and Kang-kun, then looked at his childhood ex-girlfriend Chae-yeon. Everything was developing in a good direction. Sarah and Kang-jun's relationship was getting better and better. That night, Kang-jun asked Sarah to go out for some fresh air. When the car drives to a certain road, in Sarah's mind suddenly appeared the scene of the car accident she had before surgery. The heartbreaking scene appeared right before her eyes. Sarah tensed and clenched her hands. At this time, Kang Jun said that this was an extremely famous windy road, because it was a bit dangerous. When the car passed the part where she fell into the water, Sarah's mind was full of the scene of the accident at that time. Sarah screamed in fear, holding on to the seatbelt with both hands. The next day the two of them slept in car woke up. Kang Jun gave Sarah advice: when something goes wrong, don't run away, so you won't be afraid. In the room, Kang Jun took out a lighter to light a candle. Sarah saw the candlelight and the incident scene appeared before her eyes. How scared she was at that time. Sarah was agitated again and her whole body was cold. Kang Jun quickly went to find medicine for her. At this moment, Sarah remembered the day the incident happened. Her sister had said that her younger sister had committed suicide because she couldn't think straight. Sarah came to find Chae-yun found out. Chae-yun also said that Kang Jun's ex-wife committed suicide, and that the body had not been found yet, and the funeral had already been held. Thinking about this, Sarah felt more and more that something was wrong. It was obvious that she had been in a car accident. Why did everyone say it was suicide? Sarah decided to investigate clearly. She went to the place where Kang Kun's father volunteered and asked him about his daughter-in-laws. He said that after daughter-in-law left a will, she committed suicide by jump into the sea, which is a sad story. Sarah was extremely surprised. She found Tae-hee to tell what happened. Tae-hee decided to investigate the truth with her. Kang Jun's fiancée Chae-yun, to show off her position, invited both Sarah and Tae-hee to Kang Jun's house for a family dinner. The two of them immediately took this opportunity to investigate the secret of the will. At the party, the whole family looked extremely happy, but in fact, they were all holding their own thoughts. Sarah took advantage of that moment to ask two sisters-in-law about the whereabouts of the will, and looked closely at the will on the computer. Actually, the will was sent to Kang Jun's email, using Sarah's email. It said that she was a useless woman, and that after she left, assets would be handed over to her husband to handle. Seeing this, Sarah understood. Secretly ran into Kang Jun's room. She found the ownership certificate of the 2,000 melee squared land that her father left her when was alive, but it said it had been transferred to Kang Jun. Then Sarah got the answer and left with Tae-hee. On the way home, Tae-hee knew what had happened and was discontent on Sarah's behalf. 2,000 square meters was a large fortune. At this moment, the car lights in the distance caught the eyes of the two people. Sarah looked at the license plate and her memories were appear. At that time, she was avoiding the car, going in the opposite direction, so the accident occurred. The people who got out of the car were Chae-yun and Kang Jun. Sarah was in extreme pain at this time. Sarah, seeing Kang Jun's true face, decided not to be so childish anymore. On the other side, Sarah's mother determined not to believe that her daughter committed suicide, and in her efforts to find evidence, a basin of cold water was thrown on her. She just wanted to find Alliance family to find out the reason for her daughter's death. Then they cruelly snatched the report from her hand. It turned out that this was the inspection report on the day Sarah committed suicide. After reading it, cruel mother-in-law threw it on her face. Her best friend couldn't bear to look at it anymore, and immediately started argue with this woman. On the contrary, this woman gave her a slap in the face. Sarah was nearby looking at her mother who was suffering, feeling extremely sad. The next second, her mother-in-law pushed her mother and her best friend down. Seeing that, Sarah couldn't help but want to rush in, but was stopped by Tae-hee. He advised her to be patient and not act rashly. At this time, Kang Jun had just returned home. Seeing his mother-in-law crying in pain at the door of the house, he just stood there watching from afar. The next day, she calmed down and went to visit her mother, but discovered that her mother had moved out of here. After listening, she found out that Kang Jun had bought this house and chased her mother away. The photo was broken. Sarah was extremely angry. She regretted blaming herself for being so stupid, not being able to see Kang Jun's true face soon. At this point, she couldn't bear it anymore, sat in a corner and cried loudly. That evening, Kang Jun came to the house to look for Sarah. Sarah was still angry and loudly told him to go away. Kang Jun didn't know what was going on and left angrily. Kang Jun was upset and went out to call Chae-yun, asking her to come out with him. Then Chae-yun took Kang Jun to the place where Sarah happened. Chae-yun said she knew Kang Jun had feelings for Sarah, but she wasn't worried at all, because on the day Kang Jun's wife happened, she saw everything. Sarah wanted to make Kang Jun and Chae-yun's relationship public. The two argued. Chae-yun followed them all the way. In the end, Kang Jun intentionally turned off the car's lights and drove the wrong way. When the car approached, the lights suddenly turned on. Sarah was startled and immediately turned the steering wheel, finally falling down. Chae-yun told Kang Jun not to worry, she won't say anything. They are the same type of people. After speaking, she revealed an evil smile. Very soon, it was the day of the wedding of the two people. Sarah and Tae-hee stood watching from afar, looking at the bright smiles on Kang Jun and Chae-yun's faces. the two of them uncomfortably. Revenge had only officially begun. After returning home, Sarah and Tae-hee took turns analyzing the weaknesses of each member of Kanjun's family, designed the perfect revenge trap. The next day, Sarah gave delicious food to Kanjun's family, and she went to their house to pick up the clothes she forgot at their house last time. The three women were eating extremely delicious. Sarah took advantage of that moment to go upstairs to get her things. First, she looked for evidence of sister-in-law's illegal trading, then went to her other sister's room, found her loan shark, and took computer and camera preparing to leave. Found a photo of mother-in-law having an affair, and took a photo as evidence. Anonymously sent the photo to father-in-law. Went to Kang Jun's room, installed a wiretap under the table. Before leaving, Sarah took out the earring she used to use and threw it under Kang Jun's pillow. The fight between her and them had begun. She found mother-in-law to say goodbye. She said today daughter-in-law Chaeyeon would came to live was much more beautiful than her fat daughter-in-law before. After hearing that, Sarah exclaimed she was considered dead before the surgery. Mother-in-law still did not forget to say bad things about her. And at this moment, father-in-law came home and was angry, called his wife. He picked up the slipper and threw it at her, then took out his phone and asked, who was the man on the phone? At this moment, the daughter stepped forward and pulled father back so that mother could escape. At this moment, Sarah picked up her shirt and prepared to leave. She said she saw a piece of paper and coat, then immediately gave it to him. This was the loan note from husband's brother, and also took his car as collateral. After reading it, he got mad and kicked the daughter with his foot. At this time, she was afraid and make excuses, saying that this loan was to help her sister deal with illegal purchases. Seeing that goal had been achieved, Sarah took the opportunity to ask permission to leave. Before leaving, her face showed a triumphant expression. Newlyweds, Kang Jun and Chaeyeon returned home, saw two sisters being punished for kneeling. His father said these things had nothing to do with two of them, so quickly go upstairs. As soon as entered room, Chaeyeon expressed her attitude. She grumbled that the first day she came home, her father-in-law made a fuss. In the evening, Kang Jun said that his mother and two younger sisters were being punished. Tell Chaeyeon to go cook rice. But Chaeyeon said that the first day she arrived at her husband's house, she had to make rice. So in the following days she had to do it every day. After hearing that, Kang Jun's face turned black. On the other hand, Sarah and Tae-hee overheard the conversation, proactively appeared again. Sarah came to give her a sumptuous dinner, making father-in-law like her even more. After Sarah went out, Kang Jun grabbed her arm, questioning what she was doing. Then Sarah stretched out her hand and slapped Kang Jun in the face with all her might. Tae-hee sneaked into Kang Jun's company, in the restroom connecting to the company's network, conveniently got Kang Jun's personal email. Then Tae-hee used Kang Jun's email to send an email containing the virus to all employees in the company. Feeling that it wasn't enough, he sent the virus email to Kang Jun's friend. After finishing everything, Tae-hee looked in the mirror and felt the pores that had been irritated by Kang Jun dilate and immediately became extremely small. Early the next morning, Kang Jun's two younger sisters came, asked what email he sent, causing their iPad and computer to freeze. Then Kang Jun went out to work. Tae-hee came to find him, asking if Kang Jun had any grudge against him. Intentionally sent him an email with a virus. Kang Jun was so hurt that he couldn't speak. He could only watch Tae-hee leave. As soon as Kang Jun arrived at the company, was scolded by his boss. The boss asked Kang Jun what email he sent. All the company's important documents are lost. There are still 5 days left until the shareholders' meeting. If it can't be restored, he will know its seriousness. Kang Jun was angry. At this time, Chaeyeon was at home cleaning the bed and discovered that there was an earring under the pillow, clearly not hers. At this moment, she remembered that Sarah was also wearing the same pair of earrings. Chaeyeon realized something, quickly took out phone to call Kang Jun. Kang Jun, still busy dealing with the company's virus-infected email, didn't explain much about the earring and said he would work overtime and not go home. After hearing that, Chaeyeon angrily said, just got married on the second day and didn't come home. Doesn't want to live in peace anymore, right? Chaeyeon hung up the phone. Kang Jun was furious. Chaeyeon at home also angrily threw away the phone. Never met this type of man before. On the other side, Sarah and Tae-hee heard the conversation of the two of them and showed satisfied expressions. The two decided to celebrate. They drank and chatted, remembering the tragedies they had encountered. Tae-hee had never been so sober after drinking alcohol. At this time, his eyes looking at Sarah also changed. He discovered fell in love with this beautiful girl. Sarah brought Kang Jun a program that can kill viruses on computer. He was extremely surprised. Kang Jun just got married, but hasn't come home for 3 days because of the viral email incident that took him all the time to deal with it. Sarah's appearance is like a charcoal spot in the snow. On the other hand, newlywed husband hadn't come home for 3 days. Chaeyeon was still angry, but her mother-in-law forced her to clean the house. The furniture in the kitchen has been piled up in mountains. Mother-in-law asked her to quickly wash them. Before father-in-law came home, she had to finish making dinner. After listening, Chaeyeon felt like she was no different from Kang Jun's housekeeper. At the company, Sarah not only brought the USB but also prepared a hearty meal for Kang Jun. He hasn't been home for 3 days, so she brought a new shirt. Good things suddenly happened, making Kang Jun confused. Sarah said she wanted to be with Kang Jun. She already liked this man. Sarah tried to suppress her nausea and said these words to her treacherous ex-husband. Kang Jun believed it was true. Chaeyeon went to the company to find Kang Jun. Sarah saw this. She intentionally touched him. After seeing her, Chaeyeon invited her to the rooftop. The two women started fighting in the middle of the night. Chaeyeon questioned why Sarah came to the company. Sarah frankly said she missed Kang Jun, so she came to visit. Chaeyeon mocked her for not knowing how to be shameless. But Sarah said that compared to Chaeyeon, she was still far behind, recalling that at that time she also begged Chaeyeon very hard. She loved her husband very much, begged Chaeyeon to give up. Now it's Chaeyeon's turn to beg. Chaeyeon said that Sarah is not qualified to do anything at will. Sarah said the opposite. She will make Chaeyeon divorce within 3 weeks, because 3 weeks is the time from the moment Sarah learned about Kang Jun and Chaeyeon to her death. When Sarah was about to leave, Chaeyeon angrily stopped her, but was pushed to the ground by a strong Sarah. She left. After returning home, Chaeyeon told Sarah's behavior to her husband. Kang Jun said he was very tired recently and wanted to go out for a walk. After speaking, she put on her coat and left. Sarah heard the two people's conversation and knew the opportunity had come. Then she picked up her coat and went out. Kang Jun had only walked a few steps when he saw a scarf falling on the ground. He picked up the towel and called the girl in front. Unexpectedly, this person was Sarah. The two sat chatting on a nearby bench. Kang Jun said the flirting words from 7 years ago. Sarah held back her nausea, returned home. Sarah shared what had happened today to Tae-hee. They planned to level up their revenge plan so that this storm would become stronger and sweep away everything. She and her accomplices came to the scene of her ex-husband's press conference, intending to ruining his reputation. 1 day ago, Sarah found her mother and best friend, personally delivered an intimate photo of ex-husband and herself after surgery, and said that she, like her daughter, was a victim. When the press conference was about to begin, Sarah's mother and best friend rushed in and loudly criticized ex-son-in-law Kang Jun. Her daughter, not long since passed away. Kang Jun was in love with another woman. Is he still human or not? When Kang Jun wanted to invite her out to talk, Sarah's best friend held up a photo of him being intimate with someone else. Kang Jun had nothing to tell. Newlywed Chaeyeon saw this and grabbed the photo. She recognized the woman in the photo, but to protect husband, she patiently said it was slander and was just a collage. After saying that, chased they away. At that moment, Kang Jun's superiors came to the hall. Sarah and Tae-hee saw the opportunity, pressed the button to fire the confetti cannon. Immediately the pictures filled the hall. The superiors saw Kang Jun kissing a woman, so he was extremely angry. The company's most important press conference was ruined. Kang Jun was like a child who did something wrong, bowing head and not daring to look straight. Returning to the office, Kang Jun was already angry, venting all the hatred in his heart. At this time, Chaeyeon asked Kang Jun, when did he kiss Sarah? How far had it progressed? Kang Jun was still angrily shouting, this is not important right now. Chaeyeon could only leave angrily. When Sarah begins step 2 of the plan, she pressed the remote to search for the virus. Kang Jun's office automatically opened, showing the face of his ex-wife before passed away. Then all the screens lit up, showing Gemran greeting him. Kang Jun was scared, shouted, stumblingly ran out of the office. At home, his father knew his child had made a mistake and became angry, blaming family for knowing everything, but still hiding it. In the evening, Kang Jun came home to find the house in chaos. He didn't know what happened, asked Chaeyeon where everyone had gone. Chaeyeon coldly said she was scolded by father. Everyone had run away. After speaking, Chaeyeon slapped Kang Jun's face, so angry that she cried, saying it was all his fault. Then Kang Jun found Sarah, pulled Sarah into his arms, said he was hurt, needed Sarah to comfort him. Then Sarah took Kang Jun to her house. At this time, Kang Jun's face showed joy. The wounded heart got a little comfort. But in the blink of an eye, Kang Jun saw his mother and 2 younger sisters sitting on the sofa. It turned out that the 3 of them were afraid father wouldn't dare come home, so hid in Sarah's house. In the morning, Sarah overhearing their conversation. Actually, Kang Jun didn't marry her because he liked her. Because at that time, Kang Jun had no choice, so he chose her. Currently, Kang Jun has gotten a 2,000 media squatter plot of land. Brother-in-law laughed and joked that luckily ugly sister-in-law was dead. If she was still alive and knew about these things, how heartbreaking it would be. Her mother added that if that fat guy didn't die, she would be bullied. After saying that, mother and daughter immediately laughed and joked with each other. Sarah angrily gave pills for their family. Sarah wrote on the mirror in Kang Jun's room, I know you murdered ex-wife. Sarah was madly venting her hatred. Tae-hee saw her so sad and was extremely heartbroken. Look at her. Maybe not stopping will help her feel better. After releasing her anger, Tae-hee took her to her favorite goat rib restaurant and said that today she doesn't need to worry about her body shape, can eat as much as she wants. As long as her heart is okay, he will do anything she wants. Then Tae-hee went out of the store to avoid unnecessary trouble. He ordered his juniors to clean up Sarah's husband's house. In the evening, Kang Jun came home and saw the writing on the mirror. He thought it was Chae-yun because in the morning they argued. Chae-yun said there was something wanted to show him. Kang Jun angrily pulled her over. Seeing the words, Chae-yun was also surprised. She said she didn't do it. At that time, Chae-yun saw Sarah falling into the water, but did not save her. She was also considered an accomplice. How could she do such a stupid thing? Kang Jun was annoyed and gave her a slap. Chae-yun said angrily she didn't want to be with Kang Jun another day. On the other side, Sarah was eavesdropping on the two people talking. Also startled, she didn't expect Chae-yun to be an accomplice, causing her hatred for this woman increased. She decided to speed up the plan. Early the next morning, Kang Jun received a package in the name of Gum-ran. Inside it was written that Saw husband and Chae-yun lived very happily. We are about to meet soon. After a few days of analysis, Kang Jun believes that it was intentional by his mother-in-law. He instructed his subordinates to send his mother-in-law to a mental hospital and handed over the letter of consent as a son-in-law to his subordinates. Sarah agreed go shopping with Kang Jun, while teammate Tae-hee secretly cooperated. When Sarah picked out a shirt to go to the fitting room, Tae-hee used Sarah's voice to send a text message to Kang Jun. Kang Jun saw the message from murdered ex-wife by him, was both surprised and scared. The other person knew he was not with Chae-yun, but was walking around with Sarah. He immediately avoided Sarah and called his subordinate. This person confirmed that had followed his instructions, sent his ex-mother-in-law to a mental hospital. At this moment, Kang Jun knew he had wronged her. In the car, Kang Jun had many thoughts in heart. Sarah saw that and asked him if he wanted to eat some of the cake she had just bought. Sarah took her bag and discovered a box of rings and a photo. She asked Kang Jun. Kang Jun turned head and saw the photo and the ring. Wasn't that the ring of him and his ex-wife? Why did it appear in the car? The more Kang Jun thought about it, the more afraid he became. Nerves also suffered. Quickly turned the wheel and almost had an accident. Sarah intentionally comforted Kang Jun, probably because he was too tired. Rest for a while and then let's go. The two of them rested until evening. Kang Jun confessed his love to Sarah. He wished he could be with Sarah forever. The two of them got in the car again. The car in front suddenly turned on the lights. At this time, Kang Jun received a text message again. The message reads, "Husband, I'm in the car in front of looking at you." Then received a text message from his ex-wife accusing him. Suddenly the opposite car turned on its bright lights. The scene of Kang Jun harming his wife, little by little, flashed through his mind. At this time the opposite car accelerated towards Kang Jun. When they were about to crash into each other, the car immediately turned and left. Kang Jun angrily got out of the car and asked who you were. The next second, the wooden stick hit Kang Jun's head. Until he regained consciousness, Kang Jun discovered that he was tied up and could not move. At this time, the voice of his ex-wife appeared. That voice narrated the whole process of Kang Jun plotting to kill Gum-ran. Kang Jun has now lost his reason, gone crazy screaming that he could kill her once, so he could kill her again. At this moment the dead wife actually walked out. Kang Jun was scared and fainted. Actually the person who walked out was Sarah impersonating. Tae-hee said the evidence recording was there. He would hand over all the documents about Kang Jun to the police. After achieving goal, Kang Jun was brought home. Sarah told his parents. Kang Jun suddenly remembered ex-wife and fainted. Then Chae-yun was angered by Kang Jun and left. Was taken home by brother. Looking at her parents-in-law and two younger sister-in-law, Chae-yun tried to hold back her tears and hurried into room. Then she discovered her rival Sarah was taking care of her husband. Chae-yun was surprised and scolded Sarah to go out. Sarah didn't say anything, but calmly poured a bucket of dirty water on Chae-yun's head. Chae-yun went downstairs to question her parents-in-law. I've only been gone for a few days. There's already another woman in the room. The two of them responded superficially. Chae-yun got angry and left the house. Upstairs, Sarah heard her best friend looking for her mother. She used an excuse to run out to ask what was wrong with her mother. Seeing Sarah's face was worried about Gum-ran's mother. The smart woman sensed something. She decided to investigate the matter clearly. The fat woman after the surgery was filmed by a passerby and posted on the internet. In one night became a celebrity. The restaurant where Sarah worked also have a group of reporters. President Min-hak of the country's largest media group. Winner also personally invited. On the first day Sarah tried the machine, Min-hak personally gave flowers. She not knowing that he was the president of the group. She also told this man to work hard, not to miss work because of visiting her. In the hallway, Sarah met Kang Jun also worked there, and chatted a few words. Kang Jun was even more interested in the girl, who was originally beautiful and now famous. When Kang Jun expressed his feelings, Chae-yun, as an MC, saw the two of them. Chae-yun angrily dragged her husband back to the office, criticized him for being vague with another woman right in the company. Kang Jun frankly said he loved Sarah. After hearing this, Chae-yun complete despair. He also naturally said that Sarah was very special. The bottom of Chae-yun's eyes were wet. He didn't even know who Sarah was, but he already liked. Actually, after Chae-yun doubted Sarah immediately investigated her secretly. Chae-yun held a photo of Gum-ran, find a domestic surgeon. Under her coercion, he reluctantly revealed the incident. It turned out that Sarah was her husband's dead ex-wife. Her husband Kang Jun now proposed to divorce her, and asked Chae-yeon to move out of the house. Chae-yeon completely saw the ugly face of this scumbag. She originally wanted to tell her husband the truth, but now it seemed unnecessary, because Chae-yeon wanted to use the truth that only she knew to take revenge on her husband. In the hallway, Chae-yeon once again encountered Sarah were surrounded. Chae-yeon's anger rushed to her brain. Chae-yeon mocked Sarah. She thought she was happy now, had everything. Sarah said she had to be more famous and happier than Chae-yeon. Chae-yeon relied on her own knowledge of the truth, threatened to say that she would not forgive Sarah. The fight between the two women had just begun. The clever mother-in-law took advantage of the nurse's mistake, stole the phone to report news out. Sarah received the news and rushed to the hospital. Tae-hee did not feel secure about this stupid woman. At the hospital door he encountered Kang Jun, Sarah's scumbag ex-husband. This time, Kang Jun came to force his mother-in-law to find out who was playing tricks on him. Tae-hee worriedly called Sarah, but didn't expect that this stupid woman would be so impatient to see her mother. Before finished speaking, she hung up the phone. At the moment of danger, Tae-hee dragged Sarah into hiding. When got home, Tae-hee cared and scolded her for being stupid, but Sarah really wanted to save her mother, blaming Tae-hee for not taking care of her. "You can take care of me for a while, but can't take care of me for the rest of my life." Tae-hee was extremely angry. He was angry at his wife. This stupid woman still doesn't understand what he means. The next day, Tae-hee pretended to be a medical staff and snuck into the hospital to meet Sarah's mother, clearly stating his identity and gaining her trust, successfully saving Sarah's mother. On the other hand, Sarah accidentally got the prison address where Tae-hee's grandmother was staying. She secretly went to meet this grandmother. Sarah followed Tae-hee's wishes, without telling her that her grandson was still alive, just kept cheering for this grandmother. In the hospital she saw her rescued mother sleeping soundly. Sarah sincerely thanked Tae-hee. In the evening, Sarah and Tae-hee told each other what happened during the day. Sarah to visit grandmother, Tae-hee helped Sarah save mother. The relationship between the two flourished again. Under Sarah's influence and encouragement, Tae-hee decided to get out of the fog, overcome broken heart syndrome, and save his grandmother. The next day Sarah went to prison to visit grandmother again, and brought a bread. After looking closely at the bread, she did not believe that her grandson was still alive. Sarah continued to tell the old story between her and Tae-hee. At this moment, this woman's eyes were filled with tears. On this side, Tae-hee went to Winner Corporation. He planned to escape from the security guards. Met alone with Min-hyuk, the president of Winner Corporation. He was the eldest son of concubine. Because wanted to be president, he didn't hesitation sent his grandmother to prison. Tae-hee clearly stated his identity, warned Min-hyuk to release grandmother so he would not compete for the president. The scene changed. Min-hyuk called Kang Jun come, let him arrange an emergency meeting tomorrow, officially confirm, before his chairman. Tae-hee fell into deep thought after receiving the news. He really didn't have the courage to face the bad memories. Tae-hee has a psychological syndrome. Thinking about the past will make he faint. Sarah is there to encourage he. Tae-hee and Sarah are officially dating for the first time. He wants to give Sarah the best feeling, take her to experience the life of the elite. Unexpectedly, Sarah said that watching a play is not better than going home to cook and wash clothes. Tae-hee took Sarah to a jewelry store that girls like, intending to buy a necklace for her. Sarah said, no need, could be okay. Didn't need to spend money to buy it. After speaking, she dragged Tae-hee to the supermarket. Her purpose was to try the snacks. Sarah ate it very deliciously, then also gave Tae-hee a piece. Tae-hee joked that had to rely on tasting to feel full. Sarah affirmed that she was right. Tae-hee shyly finished eating and praised the stall owner. Tae-hee was so shy that she wanted to run away, then was dragged by Sarah to the counter to taste the dessert. At this moment, the side sounded a promotional discount advertisement attract her. When got home, Tae-hee complained that they was wearing such a formal outfit for a date, but she participated in a big promotional event, blaming Sarah for ruining the date he had planned. At this time Sarah sadly said that this was her true self, excited to see a promotional discount, buy what she wants. Living through the day is much more important than going on a date, because inside she are still the girl, or before plastic surgery changed the face. Tae-hee consoled. Of course he knew what kind of person Sarah was. Then Sarah said that Tae-hee was like other men. They all liked beautiful women with perfect bodies. Tae-hee liked just Sarah after domestic surgery, not Navwin. Not the fat girl before. Appearance changed, but insides could not change. At this time Tae-hee was confused by Sarah's words. He began to doubt his insides. The next day Tae-hee proved his love to Sarah. He wore a hypnosis device. Thinking of the fat girl before domestic surgery, he slowly opened his eyes. Indeed, Sarah was beautiful in his eyes. Now the fat girl before the surgery. Then the two of them made bread together again. Sarah begged Tae-hee to help her do it together, but Tae-hee made an excuse to avoid it. Sarah said they had both done it together before. Why can't we do it together now? The honest Tae-hee can only accept. Listening to Sarah talk and feeling her inner Tae-hee accepting Sarah before the surgery, looking at Sarah's flower accidentally sticking to her forehead. Tae-hee as usual helped her clean. Chaeyeon went to Kang-joon, threatening him not to divorce her within 3 weeks, because Chaeyeon needed to do her plan in 3 weeks. Chaeyeon had moved out, and now returned to husband's house. Mother-in-law angrily said that she thought this was a sauna. Easy arrival and departure. Chaeyeon replied loudly, 2 daughters-in-law, 1 dead and 1 divorced. Then they want Kang-joon to get married a 3rd time. When the mother-in-law heard her daughter-in-law's arrogant words, she was extremely surprised. The scene changed. As soon as Kang-joon left the company, he was forcibly taken away by the police, because Sarah provided more convincing evidence to the police to prove that this bad ex-husband Kang-joon abused her. At Winter Group shareholder meeting, Chaeyeon acted as the host, announcing that this meeting would officially determine the position of chairman. She paid attention to Kang-joon as the core of the company not appear, not knowing that Kang-joon was locked in prison like an ant on a stove. Min-hyuk stepped in as the chairman of the group. He had firmly grasped the position of chairman. Opening the shareholder meeting was just completing the procedure. Outside, Tae-hee, under Sarah's influence, overcomes his mental illness. He will kick Min-hyuk, the person who sent his grandmother to prison, out of position as president. When the board of directors unanimously voted and officially declared, Tae-hee walked in. He said he was the heir to the corporation, took out a photo taken with grandmother as proof. Everyone was in an uproar. The position of president needed to be discussed again. Then Chaeyeon immediately took the initiative to show her effectiveness, actively looking for Min-hyuk, who was holding the chairmanship, and said that she was very familiar with Tae-hee. Actually, Tae-hee was the child that Chaeyeon's father picked up on the side of the road. Chaeyeon had always considered Tae-hee to be her older brother after her parents passed away. Tae-hee took care of her and brother. After Min-hyuk heard this story, he wanted to dismiss Tae-hee even more. Thinking about Tae-hee being the heir to Winter Group, Chaeyeon was secretly determined to capture Tae-hee. Tae-hee and Sarah was talking sweetly. Tae-hee arranged to meet her at 10 o'clock to celebrate her birthday. Unfortunately, Chaeyeon passed by and heard. She blamed Tae-hee for not telling her about his identity sooner, saying that she very tired these days, asked Tae-hee to be with her at night. Unexpectedly, Tae-hee, who had never refused the request, refused. Chaeyeon this time. Chaeyeon, angry, went to Sarah. She asked Sarah to leave Tae-hee. Sarah saw through the woman in front of. Sarah said that Chaeyeon was a scheming woman who only knew how to take advantage of others. Seeing that Tae-hee was Winter's heir, immediately wanted to approach Tae-hee. She absolutely would not forgive Chaeyeon. Seeing Sarah about to climb on top of her, Chaeyeon also started her plan. In the evening, Tae-hee told Sarah that he wanted to confess to her. If he could come on time, the two would officially confirm their relationship. During this time, Tae-hee received news. Chaeyeon had an accident. Chaeyeon said it was nothing to worry about, just her stomach was a little uncomfortable. Chaeyeon knew Tae-hee had an appointment with Sarah, so she deliberately wanted him to stay with her for a while. Tae-hee has always been without refusing. He called subordinates to take Chaeyeon home. On this side, Sarah arrived on time, but didn't see Tae-hee anywhere. At this time, she received a text message from Chaeyeon. Chaeyeon said that she was with Tae-hee. Sarah didn't need to wait for Tae-hee anymore. She was extremely disappointed when heard that. Tae-hee frantically drove on the road. Because his phone coincidentally ran out of battery, he couldn't contact Sarah. When he rushed to the destination, Sarah was nowhere to be found. Tae-hee suddenly remembered the previous reason. Sarah rejected he after a failed marriage. Sarah's heart still hasn't opened. Tae-hee was filled with a feeling of failure. Accidentally saw the woman under the bridge. Tae-hee scolded Sarah. "Aren't you afraid of freezing?" Sarah believed that Tae-hee would definitely come find her. The two kissed passionately. Kang-joon's father, after learning about the wrong things his son had done, asked the family to hand over 2,000 square meters of land to take from daughter-in-law died and left behind for her biological mother. Chaeyeon heard such news from her mother-in-law with an unhappy face. Then Chaeyeon tried to get the land use rights transferred to her. Even her husband's name stamp was taken away. Kang-joon, just gotten out of prison, thanks to his relationship, received a notice from the staff. He immediately called Chaeyeon, returned home. Kang-joon used force Chaeyeon, and cruelly said she did not have his permission. Don't dream of getting that land. 3 weeks later, waited to clean up and leave the house. While leaving, Chaeyeon threatened Kang-joon. He liked Sarah so much but didn't know Sarah's secret. "At that time you had to come and beg me to clarify the truth." Kang-joon came to Sarah. He now has great doubts about this woman. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Sarah went to the door to see Kang-joon, took advantage of that moment to check information related to Sarah. Sarah came out. there was no one outside the door, so Kang Jun looked for Sarah and forced her to ask what relationship she had with his ex-wife. Why did searching for his documents put him in jail? Kang Jun also said that Sarah was the only woman he truly loved from the moment he was born until now. But Kang Jun did not know that the person in front of him was his ex-wife. Cosmetic surgery. Up here, Chaeyeon knew Sarah was taking revenge on her, so she looked for clues at home. Under the table, Chaeyeon discovered a wiretapping device installed by Sarah. Chaeyeon gave the device to Kang Jun, saying Sarah overheard the conversations between Kang Jun and she plotting to kill ex-wife. Kang Jun looked for Sarah again. He asked Sarah if his ex-wife was still alive. Sarah was extremely surprised when she heard that. At this point, Kang Jun became hysterical. He kept asking Sarah, like that, for a few minutes. Sarah being shaken by this man until she fainted. Watching Sarah faint, Kang Jun was freeze. He doubted it was because he acted too forcefully. Tae-hee was waiting to celebrate Sarah's birthday. Couldn't call Sarah. He opened the locator, only to see Sarah moving in the opposite direction. Tae-hee followed the locator to the hotel. Opening the door was Kang Jun. After venting his anger, Tae-hee hugged Sarah and left. To make Sarah happy, Tae-hee, as the heir to the group's president, personally go to the supermarket to buy things. Sarah told Tae-hee to buy the last pumpkin. Hearing such a familiar song, Kang Jun was freeze. Isn't this the song ex-wife used to sing while doing housework? Kang Jun cornered Sarah. He was now extremely skeptical. The person in front of him was his ex-wife. Through a long investigation, Kang Jun discovered that Sarah was the person who sent him to prison. He took the hair on Sarah's body and compared it with his ex-wife's DNA. Confirming his speculation, Sarah was his dead ex-wife. Sarah was threatened and decided not to be weak anymore. She prepared to strike first. Sarah went to ex-mother-in-law's house, told them that daughter-in-law was murdered by Kang Jun. Previously, the police investigated Kang Jun, heard this news from Sarah, whom they respected very much, and everyone was freeze. At this moment, Kang Jun received the news of pushing the door in, stared as if he wanted to eat people and said, his family doesn't need to worry. Someone is trying to slander him. Then Kang Jun talked privately with Sarah. Sarah said that the house that Kang Jun is living in, and the land under Kang Kun's hands, all belong to Sarah. If Kang Jun dares to stop her, Kang Jun and his family will have to wander on the streets. Kang Jun has no way to deal with Sarah. Chaeyeon suddenly came and plotted. Chaeyeon said that if Min-hyuk also likes Sarah, then tell Min-hyuk the news that Sarah and Tae-hee will get married, or else spread the news that Sarah faked her identity. Chaeyeon now seems to have guessed the outcome. The next morning, Kang Jun immediately brought the news about Sarah and Tae-hee to Min-hyuk, emphasizing that Tae-hee's weakness was Sarah's fake identity, whom even his grandmother treated. Can he forgive Tae-hee? At the same time, Chaeyeon went to Tae-hee's grandmother, with tears in her eyes defaming Sarah, saying that she couldn't bear to let Tae-hee fall into the trap. Tae-hee and Sarah stayed at home, looking forward to a beautiful marriage, imagining the happiness of the two people. The next day, Tae-hee's grandmother immediately looked for Sarah, saying that she understood Sarah's personality, hoping that Sarah would leave her beloved grandchild. Tae-hee needed to lead the corporation to develop. There can't be any black marks. Sarah is kind and doesn't explain too much. Tae-hee has finished preparing for the wedding happily like a child. At this time he received a call. After turning off the phone, he hurriedly set out. He did not forget to tell his assistant to protect Sarah, because someone who knew Sarah's fake identity appeared. For a long time, Sarah and assistant couldn't wait for Tae-hee to search through the location. Tae-hee was harmed, lying in a coma and unconscious hospital bed. Everyone blamed everything on Sarah. Sarah saw Honest, her boyfriend, in a coma, blamed herself, so she could only sit in the hallway and sincerely pray for Tae-hee. When there was no one, Sarah sneaked into the hospital room. She held Tae-hee's hand, remembering the good past of the two people. The next day, Chaeyeon came to the hospital room, saw Sarah with Tae-hee, so she kicked Sarah out. You hurt Tae-hee like this. Still not enough. Sarah didn't pay attention to her. At this moment, Tae-hee's fingers moved. Under the doctor's examination, Tae-hee's consciousness gradually recovered. Then the doctor said to Tae-hee's grandmother, the patient waking up so quickly is a miracle. It must have been influenced by the woman who stayed all night. The doctor suggested that the woman take care of, so that the patient would recover faster. Here Min-hyuk and his subordinates are researching how to solve Tae-hee's problem. Because the world knew that he and Tae-hee were competing for the position of president, he decided to act first. Min-hyuk immediately held a press conference, indignant on behalf of Tae-hee, in front of reporters. He said that he had to quickly find the culprit. Chaeyeon's mind is not idle. She stimulated Kang Jun, saying that Sarah was taking care of Tae-hee at the hospital, but he was at home doing nothing. Sarah and Tae-hee would soon become husband and wife. Kang Jun was angry and went to Sarah. He threatening to not let Sarah and Tae-hee get married. Sarah was angry that she was no longer the shy fat girl she used to be. She immediately slapped Kang Jun. Kang Jun said the more stubborn she was, the more danger Tae-hee was in. That evening, Min Hyuk's subordinates received orders not to let Tae-hee speak when he was planning to do bad things to Tae-hee. Sarah quickly called the nurse to help Tae-hee escape a life. To prevent something unexpected from happening, Sarah crawled into Tae-hee's lap and fell asleep in his arms. At Min Hyuk's company, he found Sarah, asked Sarah in the name of the company to go abroad for training, go as soon as possible, otherwise, Tae-hee will face bigger challenges. Sarah, in order to protect Tae-hee, immediately agreed to Min Hyuk's request. And soon, Tae-hee was discharged from the hospital, back to the small house with Sarah. This place is filled with the smell of love. In the evening, the two of them had dinner together. Sarah suddenly told Tae-hee that if she disappeared, Tae-hee must live a good life. Tae-hee heard Sarah's words and didn't care. Sarah was alone in her pain and called Tae-hee's grandmother. Said she was about to leave. She didn't want Tae-hee must be lonely. Sarah hoped she will take care of him. This early the next morning, Tae-hee pushed open the door and didn't see Sarah. When he called, she turned off the phone. Sarah had already arrived at the airport, preparing to go tuddying abroad under Min Hyuk's supervision. When Tae-hee ran to the airport, the staff said Sarah's flight had already taken off. This woman was so intrigued, took the memory card, and threatened her husband, asking him to transfer the 2,000 mi that squatters land to her name. Otherwise, she would reveal the information on the card during the board meeting. Chae-yeon is a famous MC, opening a press conference, crying profusely denouncing her husband's crimes. She wanted to push her scum husband into a passive position. On this side, Tae-hee had to face the truth that the girl he loved had left. He was gradually falling into despair. He was still blaming her for not saying goodbye. The scene changed. Sarah did not go abroad, but returned to her hometown with her mother. Although it was sometimes heartbreaking, the moment of being with her family was also very happy. During the company meeting unanimously agreed that Kang Jun's behavior affected the company's image. The decision to temporarily suspend Kang Jun for 3 months. Kang Jun heard the results and thought, did this day happen to him? Chae-yeon never saw Kang Jun take action, so she fined him. She extended it within 5 hours. Kang Jun had to transfer the land to her. Kang Jun said that he was also suspended now. About the land he said would be divided in half. Chae-yeon firmly said that after an hour call home, then turned around and left. Then Chae-yeon called sister-in-law. She sent an email to them to see. After seeing the email, the two sisters were stunned. It turned out that what Chae-yeon sent was a dashcam recording the scene of Kang Jun's plot to kill Sarah. The next day, Kang Jun was afraid that the matter would be exposed, so he handed over the land transfer procedures to Chae-yeon. Chae-yeon smiled brightly when achieved her goal. Kang Yun's hateful eyes became deeper and deeper. Tae-hee missed Sarah. From her close friend he learned that Sarah had never gone abroad. Tae-hee got the address and immediately went to where she was living. He did not go to bother her, just stood from afar, looking at her with loving eyes. After Tae-hee left, Min Hyuk looked for based on the address she provided. Sarah's cheating ex-husband secretly followed Min Hyuk to this place, when there was no one he looked for. Sarah, he said his work was temporarily suspended. The land Sarah left behind was also taken by Chae-yeon. Kang Jun asked her to announce her identity, clarifying Kang Jun never intended to harm her, and must help him get the land back. Otherwise he will stay here and refuse to leave. This is the most forced scene I have ever seen. Two people who originally loved each other deeply. The girl proposed to break up, turning into the bosom of the boy's competitor, in the elevator. Min Hyuk did not forget to tease Tae-hee a few words. Sarah was awkwardly silent and didn't speak, to compete with Tae-hee. Min Hyuk decided to open a fashion company and invited Sarah to be first model. Tae-hee decided to use the food company as his trump card to compete with Min Hyuk for the position of president. But before Sarah was his chef, he was having a headache because there were no suitable candidates. Sarah knew the news and secretly came to help, continuing to do her previous job, meticulously making the dishes. Tae-hee heard that someone was helping him, so he decided to personally thank this mysterious chef. When went into the kitchen, he didn't see anyone. The fire on the stove was still on for safety. Tae-hee wanted to step forward and turn off the fire. At this moment, Sarah rushed out. She quickly stopped him. She was cooking soup and must not turn off the fire. Seeing that the person helping him was Sarah, Tae-hee felt confused, because Sarah doesn't want her efforts to go to waste. Tried to explain that Min Hyuk sent her to help Tae-hee. Tae-hee still couldn't let go of Sarah. Sat silently in a corner, watching the girl he loved cooking. Sarah accidentally burned her hand. Tae-hee was still the same as before, heartbroken, blaming her, and personally used a towel to cover her hand. This scene was seen by Min Hyuk. He was extremely angry. The scene changed. Kang Jun had just entered the house, was slapped by his father. Kang Jun asked his father why he hit me. Actually his wife Chae-yeon, in order to threaten him, sent the video to his younger sister. Unfortunately his father accidentally saw. In the video, it was the scene where Kang Jun plots to harm Gungran. Kang Jun was kicked out of the house by his father. Kang Jun had nowhere to go, so he sat in the car and shouted loudly. Tae-hee was at the shopping center trying hard to sell freshly baked rice balls, receiving good reviews from everyone. Sarah stood far away secretly watching him. Min-hyuk knew that Taehee's food company's rice balls were selling very well. His mother sat on the side and was